Hello there! Chatbots and voice assistants are one of the most important tools in today's and especially in tomorrow's world. But who are the people that make them work? The conversation designer. My name is Eran Soroka, head of marketing for CocoHub.ai. In today's episode, for our special guest, we go all the way to Texas, where a special woman from Austin is giving chatbots powers. Christy Torres, freelance conversation designer. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How did you get to conversation design?
Purely on accident. So I previously was working as a digital marketer and I was focusing on content strategy. And I was freelancing with different tech startups to help them create content across different channels. And one of my clients asked me if I'd be interested in helping them design a voice for a chatbot that they were creating for their own mobile app. And that's how I got started.
And what best practices do you bring from your previous role, a digital marketer and CSM, to the current role?
I feel like because conversation design is so heavy on content, I bring a lot of those best practices with me. So anything that is engaging or that I know will allow the user or the end user to really feel connected to the technology, I try to incorporate into my designs. So, there are different things that you can do in the way that you speak or the language that you use or the structure of the conversation, how long, how short, when you present things that you can incorporate to help people feel more connected.
Okay, what's the bot or project that you're most proud of?
I would say that I'm really proud of a lot of the work that I've done. I've been focused mostly in the financial space, things related to personal finance. So I really enjoy breaking down information in a way that is easily digestible for the person who's going to consume it. So previously I was working for a startup and we were taking different personal finance concepts and taking them into a chatbot where they could break down information, help educate the person on what it was that they needed to do, and then kind of nudge behavior using behavioral economics. And I thought that was really fun. I also really enjoyed incorporating different pieces of like data and information that we could use to personalize the experience. So, being able to offer stuff that you couldn't find in other places to really make you feel like the chatbot or the voice assistant is helping you in a way that you hadn't been able to do before.
How hard is it to create trust between the customer and the bot, especially in finances, and what's the best way to tackle this challenge?
Yeah. So early on, one of my clients, their first, they were one of the first people to market in Ireland to provide a finance app. And so we faced that challenge a lot because people in Ireland, since they hadn't had other products or services that mimicked what we were doing, they felt very hesitant to use the app, especially when it is asking you to connect your bank account or give sensitive information so that, then the APIs can pull the data that's necessary to really personalize the experience. So we really had to learn how to present our product as secure and we have all of the necessary like barriers and and things to make you feel safe and sort of show the industry standard for security that we had also met that. And so that's actually become like pretty basic across the board in the space, especially if you're doing anything that has to do with banking. Everyone is following the same like encryption method and all of that to really make the end user feel safe. And as it becomes more common, then the user becomes more comfortable and they're less hesitant. And so now that more things are available and it's become more common, especially during the pandemic where people are using digital banking a lot more heavily, they are used to it and it's not as big as a barrier as it was before.
Really? That's very interesting because, one of the things that people are telling me that people will never buy from a chatbot, like not big things maybe.
Yeah, I think they're getting used to getting access to their account information. As far as purchases, that's that's a whole other game. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do treat them as like agents that can transfer you maybe to the point of purchase or something.
Yeah, and there are a lot of agents in the financial space that have like a buffer where they will transfer you to a human representative before doing any like hardcore tasks for you. And that's pretty much where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just kidding about the fact that the role of the chatbots is to bring you to the human agents, like human agents are taking the chatbots roles. Uh, what's the one thing, the most important thing maybe for a voice bot, for a chatbot?
The most
The
important
most
thing?
important, yeah, in your
Um, that's an interesting question. I think it really depends on the space that you're in and who you're trying to service. I would say at the end of the day, though, automation is the key across all industries because at the end of the day, the point of the virtual assistant or the voice bot or the chat bot is to make your life easier. So the more that they can do for you and take sort of tasks away from you, the better. I would say that's probably the most important.
All right. And well, what's the most funny thing or awkward thing that happened to you designing conversations?
As I was designing conversations for different markets and different countries, it was doing the localization and realizing that even though two countries may speak the same language, the same word could be interpreted totally different. So, for example, when I was writing conversation experiences for the Irish market, I used the word tricky, and the Irish users thought that that was a very negative word and they didn't like it at all. So I had to go and change a lot of the experience. But it was considered humorous for our US users and they thought it was funny and they got the joke. But in Ireland, they were like, this is too much. We can't do it. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay. You've been in this field for a couple of years or more. If somebody wants to become a conversation designer, what tips or advice would you give him or her?
I would say just start getting involved. As the pandemic became a larger issue for the world, so many events went online and everyone started engaging virtually. And I think that that really helped kind of close the gap between the communities that were really separated by the ocean and different continents. So there's so many online events that you can go to hear from different people, to learn from them. And as different events hold panels, you'll see who's in the space, who's doing what areas are they doing it in. And if you just attend those events and ask questions and try to connect with those people, everyone is so friendly and super willing to help and just meet with you, answer your questions, especially if you sound interested and invested and you've done your research and you can tell that you're very passionate about this space. People are willing to connect with you. I would say that's the first step.
Yeah, I think that this is the best thing about our community of conversation designers. We're much more helping than in like any other field. If people are donating tips and practices, then well, that's amazing. Can you tell us more about your work nowadays?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm still working with clients in the financial space. And I'm working to try and build experiences that help to ease the burden of having that anxiety or stress around money or anything that's related to finance. So I have been working on a project that I'm really excited about, where we're in the process of expanding the access of the assistant across different channels, and also doing a lot of user testing to see, how people react to things, what's going to stick, what's not. And so that iterative process is fun for me because I love exploring and seeing, what my assumptions are how they perform on the market in real life, and like whether or not I was right or wrong, or learning different perspectives. So that's been really fun.
Give us one forecast of yours for the future of conversational AI, of chatbots, maybe in the finances, maybe in other fields.
I would say that although voice is really hot right now, I don't think that the text interface or the chat interface is totally dead. I think that as more multimodal conversation design experiences become available, there's going to be like a multiple kind of experience where you're talking, you're seeing, you're viewing, you're chatting, like everything kind of moves together and is seamless. And I think that as soon as we get to a point where we really land that automation piece, then it's going to fly like super fast. I just, as soon as we like master that. And I think that in the space right now, the technology that exists is trying to get there where everything is seamless, but the rest of the technology outside of conversation design isn't caught up to what the demands are. So, you know, even though we want to automate everything, we don't have access to the APIs or the pulling information or connecting things together in the background to be able to do things seamlessly. So once we kind of get to that point, it's going to be incredible and just be kind of seamless and in everyone's everyday lives that you're just going to be used to using everything, which will be really cool.
Yeah, you know, it's like the Gartner like hype hyperbole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're in the plateau of productivity, but not in all same places at once. So yeah, that's I agree with you. Text is not dead, but like multimodality is part of the future. Christy Torres, it was a pleasure to speak with you.
Yes, so nice to speak with you too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And for everybody watching, go check out CocoHub.ai, where we bring chatbots to life and giving you and everybody else the possibility of creating your own chatbot in text, in voice, and in video with an avatar. And enjoy it as much as I enjoyed talking to Christy. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.